All right, we're here with Road to Success. I've got my co-star, Andrew the Bulldog, and we are joined today by Jimmy Chavarria. So introduce yourself a little bit, Jimmy.
Hey everyone, my name is Jimmy Chavaria.
Oh, Chavarria. Okay, all right.
Butcher's our first guest name.
It's okay.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm a realtor, Keller Williams, Gateway. I've known Vialdi for about a year, and first time meeting the Bulldog.
The Bulldog.
Last
The
name's
Bulldog.
Bull. So
Oh, okay.
they all call me
There we go.
Bulldog.
All right. Pretty much, I don't know. Let's talk to road. What do you call it? Road to success.
Road to Success, yeah.
Okay.
So, let's talk about how you got to where you are. Like, let's learn a little bit about you and, talk a little bit about the real estate market because you are a realtor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, see how we help people on a daily basis.
Okay. My story is a little bit, I guess, not normal.
I feel like a lot of people in this industry have that, though.
Yeah, I've definitely had that roller coaster ride. So I guess straight out of high school, I wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So helping people already.
yeah,
There you
know, and ended up becoming a locomotive engineer for Amtrak.
Wow.
I was driving trains. Did that I worked for the company entirely for 11 years, and then the last 6 years of it, I was driving trains. It was great. 125 miles an hour, 24/7 operation, 1 day off, DC to New York every day. But the thing that I learned about that was the value of time, because for me going to Baltimore to DC, DC to New York to DC, DC back to Baltimore on 1 day was about 14 to 18 hours a day.
Wow.
So a lot of my time was just out there. It was great money, great experience, but at the end of the day, it was eating up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess it doesn't matter if you're going 125 miles per hour or not
Right.
if you're hitting all those spots, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So, like, for someone looking to get into working with trains or working at Amtrak, like, how does that work? How do you do that?
Yeah, how'd you fall into that from trying to be a nurse and then like, hey, now I'm driving trains?
Yeah, well, I tried going to traditionally, going to school to be a nurse, and it didn't work out. And, school wasn't for me. So I started working in the construction field and ended up going for some training to read blueprints and try to go that route. And there was a recruiter there for Amtrak, and they were looking for people with construction background.
Huh.
And I said, sure. And one thing led to another, and I happened to be an Amtrak. It was a great adventure, and basically it evolved to me applying for the position, and it was a very vigorous training that you have to do, and you can't fail any of the tests. So it's did that for like about 3 months, I believe. I don't remember, and then after that, it's a year and a half. Sitting next to somebody, and they're watching you run the train, and it was a good time.
Awesome. And someone who is looking for a job like that, what can they expect to make?
Easy over 100,000. Easy, yeah, easy. Some of the top dogs that have been there for a long time could make over 200.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's
And,
awesome.
Yeah, just
So someone, for example, coming from the military that might have worked with trains could easily transfer over.
yeah, and they also have a leg up because they are a very military friendly type of company. So they really take VAs, first, and then the general public to hire.
So basically, in that field, it's kind of like this. Hey, it's a lot of your time. You can make a lot of money, but it is gonna be 14 hours a day.
Yeah, the only difference with this is that I could be closing a deal while I'm in Santorini, Greece,
Right.
versus on track number 3
Right.
in New Jersey.
Exactly.
Right, which you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that that's kind of the transition you made, though? Is you got out of that because of
Time.
kind of the time and everything? I was
Yeah.
going to say, sounds like a good career, a lot of time, but then again, this industry is as well sometimes. So
Yeah.
what was kind of like the transition and, the start getting you over to real estate?
Okay. So the transition was time, right? So I had the construction background. So as soon as I got out, I'm like, let me open a construction company. So I already had the background. And I did that, and I'm like, what else can I tie this into? So I got my real estate license. I'm like, let me tie it, because I guess my niche of how I am better at what I do because of me is because I can go into a house with a buyer and see things through a contractor eyes versus realtor eyes
Right.
at the same time.
Right. Where most people would be scared, like, oh my God, like that roof looks like it's collapsing. You're like, no, you're good. We just
Right,
have to change this, do that, da, da, da.
Or like, I wonder how much this will cost. Let me make a quick call real quick. Hey,
exactly.
like how much is this? How much is that? And I get on the market prices on everything instantly.
Which for some other people, they would go in there and they would see it, and automatically they're thrown off. Those buyers just walk away. They're like, I'm not dealing with that. But someone working with you, you see that, and you go, don't even worry about it. It's this much. And now they can decide, oh, you know what? We can actually take care of that.
Right. Or, even simple things of like when they see something, oh, it's not what I want because it doesn't have that open concept. And I'm like, oh, that's easy. You can knock this. And
He walks up. He's, no way that's load bearing. Out of here. Get out of here.
yeah. So, but then I found myself back on the railroad because I was doing construction, super busy, doing real estate, super busy. And again, I found myself too busy. So I ended up taking just the real estate side. And like I said, I closed a deal when I was in Santorini last summer. It was great.
There you go. There you go.
All right.
It's good flexibility there, but, at the same time, I kind of tell people in this industry, you're always on call,
Yeah.
And it's not like, hey, HVAC or construction on call. Like, you don't have to hop in a truck and go to a property. It's just, got to always be available, but good flexibility. Sometimes you're working near Greece.
Yeah.
So you went from trains, or from a nurse, from the medical field, to trains, to construction, in construction in the middle. Always construction, always building, building something.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then now you're a realtor. And so tell us about, real estate for you. Like, how is it for you? How do you see the market doing? What do you see yourself doing in, 5 years?
Okay. So in 5 years, I expect to be, so I guess talking about time again, and you guys kind of talked about this is an on-call job.
Yeah.
But I feel like boundaries of how to respect your time is huge too in this business.
Absolutely, and I feel people respect that, I mean, you got to have family time, you got to have boundaries, but at the same time have to be available when things are needed now. So it is a fine line.
So what do you guys do, like if you guys get a text or a call at like 9 o'clock p.m. on a Friday night?
Oh, I'm on it.
Yeah. I mean, it depends, right? Like, are they asking for numbers because they're going to go look at a house tomorrow? If it's 9 o'clock, I might be asleep.
Yeah. If they're writing an offer, I mean,
I'm going to wait.
And that's a good thing, too, I mean, in our setup, at least, like, we are on a team. We have a lot of different supporting roles and people out there to help. So let's say we were, out and about on a Friday night,
Right.
Maybe some friends are in town. We got dinner. We're drinking somewhere. Hey, we're trying to write right now. We need an offer right now. Like, I relay on him, kind of, fall back on me and other people on our team that, hey, can you hop on this? They're trying to write right now.
Right.
So it's good to have that support network.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like is really important, is support. Because when you have support, you can do things like that, right? Where even though this industry is on call 24/7, we can go out and be with our families. We can do things. And, we have to step away for a couple minutes to send a pre-approval on our phone, or we got to make a call and be like, hey, are you by a computer? Because I need to run this guy's numbers because he's trying to put an offer on this other house that I've never run numbers on, right?
Okay.
So that's the good part about having support. And that's something really important. And I feel like for both, right? Like when you're a realtor and when you're a loan officer, if you have support, it goes a long way.
Yeah. I guess we have systems in place where, like, say we're out with the family or out with the, just going out with friends and stuff, that if an offer needs to get written, there's certain information we can put into the system and it just goes and it comes back and it's a full offer.
Right.
Yes, we have to review it and make sure everything's okay. But that helps out, like you said, if you guys are out and, the support part of everything.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like technology is, forever advancing. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in since 2017, and I mean, I could have probably sent the pre-approval from my phone at that time, but didn't know how to. Now it's like, as technology advances and different things along those lines, they make it a lot easier to kind of, hey, that phone's always on our hip, anywhere you're at, you're going to have your phone on you, so you can do a lot more from that now.
And the reason why it's 24/7 is because you never know when another deal falls off. And they call you and they go, "Hey, the deal fell through. How about your offer? Can you change it like this or do this?" And then you got it, right? And at that point, it's like, well, if I do this now, maybe I can get this deal. But if I tell this guy, "Oh, well, give me till Monday," they might have already reached out to somebody else, and another buyer is going to get that house.
I've had that happen once. Not with you guys, but I had a buyer, and like my loan officer's not answering. This is like Friday. I'm like, maybe it's late. Let's wait till tomorrow or something. Nothing. Sunday, nothing. We lost the deal, and then Monday they're like, out of nowhere, like, "Hey, how can I help?" And I'm like, "It's over.
You can't.
It's done.
Yeah,
That's it.
Exactly.
Right. Like, it was fourth quarter. We needed you to come in,
Right.
and you weren't there.
Yeah.
You pulled a LeBron on us.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's, urgency. Sometimes it's, like you said, sometimes you can't really see when it's going to happen either. So that's why you got to make sure you're always available. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if something needs done, it's not like, hey, right this second, got to have it now. But there's always that 1 out of 10 times that you got to be available and ready for. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, "Hey, all right, let me floss. Give me a minute." Like, it's just like, all right, you have it's not like it's urgent, like we're saving someone's life, right? Like, that's urgent. All right, the doctor has to get to the hospital. But it's urgent as in the fact, like, look, if you don't get back within a couple of hours, this deal might go to somebody else.
Right.
Right.
time crunch.
Or that buyer might go to somebody else.
Yeah, because that buyer, ended up going to somebody else after that. Yeah. That was a pretty bad fumble.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not your fault, right? Because you're doing everything you can. And that's why it's important to have a good team, right? Everyone that you work with is a representation of you. Like, you might be working with Jimmy, but if he does not have a good loan officer that he's working with, it's going to affect the offers that you put. That's why right now in this market, because it's so competitive, they don't want people buying with Banks of Americas or the Wells Fargos, the places that are open 9 to 5, and you have to wait on hold to get a hold of somebody. It's super important to work with a local lender at this time and have a really solid team. You have a good realtor that's responsive. You've got a good lender that's responsive. And then, hopefully you also have a good insurance person, because you always need
Whole
that.
book of business,
Yeah. That you have some contractors that, "Hey, man, it's Friday. We just got this what is
Like
it?
a renovation loan?
No, we just got the appraisal back, and it has all these repairs, and we're supposed to close on Wednesday, right? Now you need someone to go in there over the weekend and fix it up.
I don't have any of those type of worries because
You can do it.
I got that a
He
lot.
snacks
So,
on the
Like-
on the tool belt. He's ready. I love
Let
that.
me go ahead and fix this for you.
right. But yeah, I guess on the realtor side of things, on the market right now, it's inventory is really low.
Yeah.
In some pockets of where we're at right now, it's still a seller's market.
Right.
Like things are still going above asking.
Mm-hmm.
They're still waiving inspections. Even in some cases, even waiving appraisals.
Yep.
So it's just really depending on where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I feel like it's really dependent on the house.
Yeah, price
Yeah.
range in house.
Yeah.
I mean,
price range is huge.
yeah. I mean, you get anything from like mid 200s to like low 300s, Baltimore County. It's tough right now.
Yeah. You have to be, and this is a good point for realtors, right? You have to make sure that you're listing your home appropriately.
Right.
Because some people, and it's not their fault. Their buyer or their sellers want to say, "Hey, I want to list it at the highest possible price."
It's a very delicate dance that we have to do with those type of sellers that are really just, this is what my house is worth. And even after we give them the entire data, and the data says, I don't know, 250. Like, no, my house is 350.
Right. It's like,
And-
listen, your neighborhood is 250.
Yeah,
All right.
and
Like,
they're fighting it. So there's a delegate dance we have to do, and then obviously it's competitive because somebody that's trying to get business will say, you know what, it is worth that, and it's not the market to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It is.
also, it's unfair and unprofessional, I think, that you're saying that when the data says otherwise.
Right.
You're doing a complete disservice to the seller
Sure.
that wants to sell, and
Right.
you're just
Right.
blowing smoke up.
And then
100%.
They're not going to get any results at the end of the day, so they're like, okay, you're right. Let's list it for 350. Then that same seller's coming back like, hey, this has been on here for 30 days, zero offer.
Exactly.
What are you doing wrong?
What are
Like-
you doing
What am
wrong?
I doing
Right.
wrong?
Right.
But
Like, listen, your house is 2 blocks away from a trailer park. That's what I'm doing wrong.
exactly.
Right.
No comps in the neighborhood, but
Yeah, and then what I also see in this market is it's competitive. So when somebody sells their house, they try to use that house to sell theirs. So basically, this house is at 300. I'll put mine at 290, and let them sell your house. And I've seen that happen a lot. And then the house that's for 290 will probably get 305 or 310.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
because
100%.
that 1300 is there.
Right.
Same exact house, just next to each other.
Exactly.
kind of mind games to kind of force it into almost like a bidding war, and then it's going to go slightly over.
Yeah.
Now, good thing to touch on as well, with this being so competitive, like what are you trying to do to get the edge, try to set your buyers for offers and different things like that apart a little bit?
So with buyers, you guys talked about it. We need to have a good team. Title, lender, realtor it needs to be on the same page at all times. I feel like as realtors and lenders, we take a lot of the brunt of the emotions and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're like therapists at the end of the day. I feel like a little bit too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
absolutely.
100%. Like, oh my God, it underappraised by $2,000. What are we gonna do? Listen, we already have it figured out. We just have
Right.
to sign this paper and we're good. Oh my God, are you sure? Is this still gonna close? It's been a week since I heard from you. Since I heard from the lender. Yeah, because we are actually clear to close. We're just waiting on the CD to come back, and we're literally about to get back to you. Are you sure?
Yeah.
I guess we are sure.
Yeah, people, it's very emotional,
Yes.
like you said, and we do kind of turn into therapists at times. It's, but at the same time, when a problem presents itself, I just, always try to. I don't even like to present that problem to even my realtor
Right.
partners or the buyer or anyone until I have a solution. If I cannot find a solution, which is extremely rare, I'm at least gonna have 1 to 2 solutions before. Hey, we got a problem, but here's our
Right.
solutions.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree with that. I don't say anything to the buyer or seller if we have a problem because obviously once you tell them, it's like
Oh yeah.
it's a complete meltdown,
Right,
And then
right.
so it's kind of like again, it's like a delegate dance. How do we keep them informed, but not And then at the end of the process, once it's done, you tell them, hey, did you know we even did this and did that? And they're like,
Yep.
what? And they're like, yeah, it's okay. It's just all falls on us,
Yeah.
really, you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and I think with the sellers, it's just giving them the data. And, I tell them, I'm not going, I understand how they feel about their house, obviously. But at the end of the day, like, they want to sell. And for this to sell, we have to price it properly, present it properly. And it's huge because if you let them guide themselves, then we're not really there to do anything but
Right.
just waste everybody's time.
Exactly. It's like you're not going to go to the doctor and say, hey, doc, listen, you're going to cut here.
Yeah.
All right? It's going to be 6 inches.
Right.
All right? Then after that, go ahead and grab the gauze. Like, no, like that's not your job.
Yeah.
Let me do my job, right? As the realtor, let me do my job. As a loan officer, listen, let me do my job. This is what you qualify for, right? We will tell you why, 100%. If you have a good loan officer, they should be telling you why, right? And the realtor should be telling you why these things are, right? Especially if you have those questions. But we are the professionals. That's why you come to us, so we can have these problems fixed by us,
Yeah.
right?
And also, I want to touch also on the buying side that I feel it's a weird market right now. Interest rates I kind of feel like are still they're not high, but they're higher than last year.
Mm-hmm.
And never changing too, you know? I mean, it keeps us on our toes. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
Well, what are the interest rates right now for today? How are they looking?
Better than last week, but then again, it's, hey, call me back on Wednesday. That could change again.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
it's constant, little peaks and valleys lately.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you look back, hey, 2-3 months and drew a line through it, it's trending stable sometimes, a little up, but it's tough to keep ahead of.
Yeah, and I think that's why that you guys have this new program, like especially with the program that we kind of touched on a little bit, that's helping. I feel like most of my buyers are the medical assistants, the dental assistants people, single moms a lot of times that are in the medical field, and now with this community partner situation, they can get up to $15,000.
right.
Yeah.
It's huge, because we are in a weird market. Everything's expensive, so this kind of helps them if they don't have any money saved up for a down payment or closing costs. It kind of helps them out a little bit.
Yeah, so we have this program right now where if you're a first responder, you could get up to $15,000 towards your closing. Now, that of course comes with its own qualifications and stuff like that, and we make sure you qualify for that. But if you do, it actually is free money. Like, you don't have to pay it back. It doesn't come with higher interest, anything like that. It's actually free money, and these things happen right now because of what happened back in 2008, right? In 2008, we all know what happened. Big meltdown, banks, they made a boo-boo, all right? And the government said, you fucked up. So now the government comes back and they tell these banks, you have to give back to the community. And what they do is they have these grants that come out, and we can take advantage of those grants, right? And we can give those to our buyers. Now, these grants do run out. There's limited funds, so act accordingly. Buy as soon as you can when you are ready.
Right.
And, they don't always come back around. Sometimes it's a one and done. Sometimes they renew it. Sometimes they're like, hey, maybe next year, right? And, yeah, so that's pretty much on that. Now, I did want to touch up on something so that everyone is aware, because some people tell us, like, well, what are interest rates like today? Well, interest rates are a tricky subject, because interest rates are not what people think. They think sometimes, well, I heard that interest rates came down, or that the federal government put interest rates up. Like, did my mortgage interest rate go up too? Well,
Federal rate.
exactly. Yeah. There's, and you can touch a little bit on this, Bulldog. Like, tell us a little bit about the difference of what's your mortgage rate, right? And all these other things that influence it and that play into it, but aren't exactly it, that sometimes people think are the exact same thing.
Well, that's the big thing, too, is, like, you always kind of hear, it's funny, the media is very funny with that, too. So, like, especially when you hear, oh, interest rates went down. I always feel like the media is a few weeks behind that, but at the same time, when they're talking about mortgage interest rates and different things along those lines, they're never like, hey, it went up. They're usually trying to highlight the good, but a lot of people hear, hey, the feds are raising the rates. You hear it left and right, all these different meetings, Jerome Powell, everything along those lines. You're always going to hear the federal rate. They've raised the rates. That is not exactly the mortgage rate. What the federal rate is the overnight cost of borrowing money, banks to banks, banks from the Federal Reserve, different things along those lines. That has a direct effect on things like small business loans, auto loans, personal loans, things along those lines. The mortgage rate does kind of ebb and flow with the federal rate, but it's not directly affected. So when you're hearing that, oh, the feds are raising interest rates, that's, they're not directly raising the mortgage rates themselves.
Right.
A lot of different factors go into mortgage rates, but yeah, I mean, it does have a correlation. It does have a relationship, but a lot of people are like, oh, I heard feds are dropping rates or raising rates. I'm like, well, the feds aren't doing that with the mortgage rates. That's the overnight rates.
Right. So think about it like this, to put it in simple terms. The mortgage rate is really a picture of what our economy is doing, because it's connected to stocks. It's connected to the federal government's rate, right? So it's a picture of how the economy is doing. So if you look at it as a macro, from a macro lens, and you go, well, mortgage rates are higher. Mortgage rates are higher because they're trying to slow down inflation and the economy is doing pretty good. Now, once the government comes out and says, hey, we're in a shitstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Economy's not doing so great. What happens to mortgage rates? They come down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel it. I know that we're not doing so great. And we are in a recession, and they're going to say it. And when they do, interest rates are going to come down.
Yeah, I mean, fear is, I feel like, a big thing right now. You know, especially with buyers. I feel there's more fear with them because they don't know, you know, what's going to happen. The money that they have saved up, you know, should they buy? And then on the selling side too, they know that prices have gone down.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them are like, should I just wait till the rebound time?
Mm-hmm.
So I also feel like the media,
Yeah.
you know, is also like instills fear.
Right. So, Jimmy, question. Should a buyer be buying right now?
Absolutely, especially if they qualify with this program you guys got.
Yeah.
Free money. Like
Exactly.
there's nothing wrong with free money. And it literally is free.
Yeah.
What do you have to do? Like just live there for 5 years and take
5
a
years.
class?
Forgivable. Exactly. You got to go through classes, training, different things like that. All of that's online, though.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And then qualifications on it, you know, there are some different qualifications, you know, credit scores and different things like that. But like you said, $15,000 for, I believe they didn't even use first responders. They're saying essential workers.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
kind of covers a broad term.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not and you're still a first-time home buyer, there's still $12,500 to be had.
That's
so,
not bad.
You know,
Pretty
you
good.
just got to reach out to find out, is that something you qualify for?
Right.
And you hit the nail on the head there, you know, hey, that might not exactly directly affect the interest rates or anything like that, but at least that can lower your, you know, total cash to close, the money you have to bring to the table, and kind of soften the blow a little bit of
Exactly.
a buying experience, because
Yeah.
it's the biggest purchase you're ever going to make.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people kind of have that struggle that, hey, I'm ready, I got, you know, the credit, I got the income, everything's good there, but I just don't have the money. That kind of helps that kind of factor along a little bit.